Governor, if Kitty Dukakis were raped and murdered, would you favor an irrevocable death penalty for the killer?
No, I don't, Bernard, and I think you know that I've opposed the death penalty during all of my life. I don't see any evidence that it's a deterrent, and I think there are better and more effective ways to deal with violent crime.
The issue that we ought to be paying attention to is who are these people who we execute in the U.S.?
Death penalty is not a deterrent. It hasn't worked. The appeals are expensive. More agreeable. Every westernized nation pretty much has gotten rid of the death penalty.
For the first time in more than 45 years, Tennessee did put a man to death in the electric chair.
One massive money-saving measure could be the end of the death penalty, which costs taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars a year.
I believe the death penalty is just punishment for and a strong deterrent against heinous crimes.
In minutes, the state has filed its intent to seek the death penalty.
What this is really all about, and that is honoring the families of the victims and providing justice.
If you come into our state and you kill one of our children, you kill a police officer, you're involved with another crime and you kill one of our citizens, you will face the ultimate justice in the state of Texas, and that is you will be executed.
Thank you, Tom. We're going to change gears a little bit to an emotional issue in the state of New Hampshire. The death penalty.
It's been around almost as long as crime itself. Capital punishment, or the death penalty, has been a recurring and large part of our justice system.
I believe it should be abolished because the government doesn't have the right to take someone else's life for whatever thing they do.
I think it's a very tough call. I see good arguments to keep it and to get rid of it. Financially, it makes more sense to get rid of it, but if you think of it from a human nature standpoint, there are people who would be more reluctant to commit crimes if the stakes are higher. So on that basis, I find it hard to say definitively whether it's good to keep it or not.
I think that it's unethical for people to die when there's a chance, even if it's a very minute chance, that they could be innocent.
They made a mistake in the past. I think they should be like jailed for, it should be like the jail for life or double life or triple life, but people can change, so they don't deserve for their life to be ended right then and there, because then they won't resolve the issues that they've created.
I think that it should not be abolished. I think we should keep it. Like, I'm not really for it. I'm kind of against it, but in a way, I guess it's kind of necessary.
Overall, I think there are a number of challenges with the death penalty, but conceptually, yes, I do believe in the death penalty.
I think it's tough to say. I'm not sure how much research there is on whether the patients suffer when they're given the IV injection, but if there is evidence conclusively that proves that they do, then I think, yeah, it might, yeah.
I feel like technically it does, but it's not very, unusual to, kill them because they put themselves in this situation to begin with. It's not like the government randomly was like, hey, we're gonna kill you because you did nothing. No, that doesn't happen.
Although some states have removed it, it is still being used in 33 states and should have the attention of the federal government. But can this be justified by other facts? With President re-elected, he may have ample issues to work on during his presidency, but this should be one of them.
The reason that I would oppose the death penalty would be there are several reasons. The first of which is that there are many instances that we've seen in recent years and in the past of people who have been found innocent due to forensic evidence that has been uncovered many years after the fact. So there have been a number of cases and many instances of people who were given the death penalty and or life imprisonment for that matter, but later evidence uncovered their innocence. The next problem that I see with the death penalty is that it's more expensive to execute an individual than it is to house a person for life.
It is important to know the cost to execute an execution. The state of California currently spends $184 million on the penalty with taxpayer money. This, of course, is important to mention considering the country's current financial state.
When one is found guilty of murder and the death penalty is imposed, there are automatic appeals that are in place. The case automatically gets appealed to the state Supreme Court and then the United States Supreme Court. This is a process that is not only extremely expensive but extremely time-consuming, which leads to the next problem with the death penalty. As it stands now, justice is not swift enough because it takes sometimes 10 to 15 years for an individual who has been given the death penalty to actually get executed. So by that time, the people that were involved in the incident may be dead. So many years have passed that they don't feel that they've gotten justice because the person has been able to sit in prison for 10 or 15 years. So I think there are a number of problems with the death penalty. On the other hand, I think that the principle of an eye for an eye does have some validity in certain circumstances. I think if there's a case where it's clear that someone murdered another individual and took a life with malice aforethought, and it's very obvious that they did this, then the death penalty may be justified.
Back in 2004, then Senate candidate Barack Obama addressed his opinion in a debate.
Well, I believe that the death penalty is appropriate in certain circumstances. There are extraordinarily heinous crimes, terrorism, the harm of children, in which it may be appropriate.
The death penalty in the U.S. is a controversy that's being discussed even in other countries. We hope that this issue will be resolved in a manner that will overall benefit our country. So I ask you, Mr. President, after your years of experience, how would you handle this situation today?